Welcome to this Friday edition of the Evening Review. My name is Sukhane, and joining us virtually is Nocky Kapeehi, who serves as the spokesperson of NUDO. Before we go into that interview, however, we'll go for a short break. Welcome to the interview, Nocky. How are you?
I'm all good, all is well. There is great rain in Namibia, everything is proper.
We recently saw you hit out at a German farmer over claims that German settlers legally bought the land and that no land was expropriated. I want you to put it in context why you hit out and just share your view on the matter.
Number one, I want to study here that this issue is very, very sensitive. This issue is very, very sensitive. And for someone just to come say that Germany never stole land, this is a clear indication that they are just putting the colonial facts right. German colonial empire, they hold people in chains. When they hold the people in chains, they have raped their wives, they have grabbed land, they have stripped them of land, they have passed colonial ordinance that have stripped our land, and not only that, even the dignity of the human beings of Namas and Hereros and the Banderos were stripped off. These people literally passed an ordinance 151 in 1907 to expropriate land, livestock of all our people. Our people were held in concentration camps, and these people took all our livestock. And also in 1908, when they closed these camps, they have again created another one called a labor slave camp that was created to rent out the indigenous Nama and the Herero people. And I'm a descendant of these survivors, of these rape survivors. Look at my color. When I'm with Germans, they tell me that I'm a Herero. When I'm a Herero with the Hereros, they are telling me, go to the Germans. Look at my color today. And then for someone, for someone to come claim that he bought land, this is an insult to the Herero community. A big insult. By 1913, the Germans had about 205 head of cattle that were taken from the Herero and the Nama community. When Snyder is saying that he bought land from who? Remember, in 1909 that he claimed that he bought land. The government that was in charge was the German government. He bought land from who? Did the German come with the land from Germany to come sell it to the other Germans in Namibia? He bought land from who? Who is the seller? Who is the buyer? These people have forced the Hereros and the Namas out of their own land. This land was called Herero land. Today, when you look at the statistics of how many hectares are owned by commercial firms in the Chogogipa region, you will be surprised. And for Schneider to come and play with fire, this is not the right time. He must respect the law of this country, as the issue of reconciliation should not be taken for granted. We didn't reconcile, and we are not living with them, and we are happy that they have the farms just because of something. We sing one song in the Namibian national anthem that we say their waters, their blood waters, our freedom. We are happy to live with them, but it doesn't mean that they should provoke us. We, on the other side, we are having this thing of forget and forgive and forget. On the other side, Master Schneider is busy putting salt on these wounds that are about to heal. What are we saying? What are we saying? And also, just give me one Banderu, one Herero, even one Nama that owned land in Germany. Zero. This country was called Deutsch Southwest Africa. And these people come to settle here. And today they claim that they bought land, which is a big insult to my tribe, which is a big insult to a Bandero, to a Herero, as well as a Nama-speaking people. These people never bought land. In actual fact, when you look at their deed, the deed of sale, the price that they paid, the 20 Dutch finning that they paid, it was for a file. They got land for free. And Master Schneider should bear in mind that they had 80, from 73 to 80,000 hectares of land. And he sold part of it, now he's left with 40,000. Me, I'm living at Okamaru, Shakonjatu. More than 200 people, we are living under 800 hectares, is where we are grazing, is where we are making a living from. Someone is owning 40,000 and is here playing with such sensitive matters in this country. And this is so uncalled for. And that's why I've asked Master Shinaita to withdraw this statement with immediate effect. Because we will run out of patience as well, as the Herero speaking. We will run out of patience, and people to come provoke us in that instance is a big insult to the community.
Nocky, I want to move on and just get your views on the issue of the handling of the genocide matter by government. You know, the 1.1 billion euros has been offered to the affected communities, payable over the period of 30 years. Are you satisfied? Is it time to go back to the drawing board? What are your demands?
You know, before I touch base on that, really, I want to remind Master Schneider of the Ordinance 151 of 1907. And that is the ordinance that was passed by the German Empire to expropriate all the land from Ovaherero speaking people. And that ordinance, from them, it was also used by the British. It was also used by the British when they took over. It was also used by South Africa. South Africans, white people that also came in 1940. So he must not play with these things. On the second, when we talk about the government and the issue of the handling of the genocide case, number one, the first thing that we need to do as a country, we need to recognize that we need to iron out the issue in Namibia before we start talking about this money that was offered, because there is much problem. There is no connection between the genocide and the people that lost land. There is no connection. We need to connect the two. The land was taken. The affected community, by then it was called the police zone. That is the southern cordon fence. That was the target of the whites when the land was taken. But when you look at the programs that are even resettling people, these people are not a priority at all. But the land was taken. So I think the first thing that we need to go to the drawing board is that the government, the first thing that they need to do is to connect the two. And then from there, from the land conference, with the recommendations that was there, we need to talk about the ancestral land, who lost land, how we can compensate it, not just run into the money and run to how it will spend and all these things. We need to go to the drawing board number one to touch base on the issue of ancestral land, on the issue of how many people lost land and who actually lost this land. And then again, when we're speaking about these genocide committees and stuff like that, where is the Schneider? Where are the people that have benefited from this genocide deals? Where is those people? Why are they not also part of in the table to negotiate for their government? I think the money that is being offered is also a big insult to us. That is a big insult to the Ovaherero speaking, the Nama people, the Bandero. That is a big insult because why people were killed. The people, the heads were taken to Germany for experiment purposes, and Germany made money through their scientific and all those things. They took by our grandfathers' heads were taken to Germany for experiment just to go figure out how the heretics, how the nasty. And above all these things, someone is saying Germany never stole land, which is a very provocative statement to be done by someone who is living in Namibia, in the land of the brave, irregardless. So, getting back to your question, the first thing we need to go back to the drawing board to look at to connect the land issue to the genocide before we start the reparations. Justice is not done there. When you look even the war veterans today, they got privilege. They are being resettled. They are being getting APCD as package of the war veterans. But remember, the soldiers of the Germans were also compensated by land. They were given land for free in Namibia. But what about the descendants of the tribe that of the Hereros, of the Namas, of the Banderos, where land was stolen from us? Zero. We are not getting anything. We are not a priority even in the resettlement program. We have to apply like anybody just to be on the list. And this is not fair at all. The throwing boat need to start with the connection of land to the genocide issue before we start talking about the money and how it will be handled.
Nocky, I've got a few more questions for you, but before we proceed, we'd quickly like to go for a short commercial break. I'd like you to hold on while we go for this commercial break. So to continue with our conversation, there's a matter that I'd like to touch on, a very contentious matter at this time, and it has to do with the chieftaincy of the Ovaherero. Your party has always been involved in this. What role are you playing this time around?
Okay, I will not touch more based on this. I think the Secretary General is in good position, is a main spokesperson of the party. But what I want to touch base is that, in 1960, the Chief Council was formed. Namibia by then had two administrations, the one for the whites and the one for the blacks. The one for the blacks was governed under the leadership of Hosea Kutako. So when this chief council was formed, there was Namas were represented. The founding father was also part. So it was formed. It was ruled by this chief council. Namibia was under the cabinet of this chief council. Okay. Then later, when they wanted to petition to the UN, they were advised by Michael Scott that you must form a political party so that you petition. The chief council won't be able to petition, but must form a political party. That's how SWAN was formed. Then later, the chief council and SWAN had issues. Okay. Now the whole thing is, when NUDO was formed, it was so unfortunate that then the leader, Chief Kapuo, became the leader of the NUDO party. And then later he took over the paramount chief, became the paramount chief of Ovaherero, and also the president of NUDO. Okay. Comes after a few years. Dr. Kwaimariwako took over. He became the paramount chief of the Ovaherero as well as the NUDO president. Later, the paramount chief became advocate. Advocate belongs to another political party, and then the NUDO was formed as a political mouthpiece of the chief council. And then later, Dr. Riwako converted the chief council into Ovaherero Traditional Authority. And then advocate Rukoro took over. Now advocate Rukoro belonged to another different political party, and then NUDO need to account and report to the Ovaherero Traditional Authority. I think that is where everything started. But to say the least is that there is an agency for calibration between Ovaherero Traditional Authority and NUDO to pave the way forward. I think that's all I can say for now.
To add to that, we saw the process that led to the nomination of Prof. Kashiwa in Ndurumbapa. Do you agree with the whole process that played out there?
Let me not go into that. As a political party, we decided not to comment on these things because it had a negative and a positive impact. And as a political party, we have members that are on the one side of the Ovaherero Traditional Authority. We have also members that are supporting the other side of the Traditional Authority. So for now, we reserve our comments and we are looking to deliberate for a calibration between these two institutions so that we can have solutions that are amicably, issues that are amicably resolved to pave the way forward. And very soon, I think you're going to get the way forward in this regard. Deliberations have started at the grassroots level to ensure that we're going to have we can have it in a good way this time around.
And then brings me to my last question, the issue of the veterinary cordon fence. It's a contentious issue for farmers south of the red line, and then we've also seen farmers north of the red line saying that they're not benefiting. How best can government approach this situation for farmers to benefit on both sides of the fence?
You know, the whole thing of the cordon fence is that once the farmers on the other side, they really suffering in terms of sending meat to Windhoek and all these things. It's a major concern, and we do understand it. There is a concern, and we do understand it. But bear in mind also that the removal of red line will negatively affect the beef industry in Namibia, negatively affect the entire beef industry in Namibia because of this foot and mouth disease that is on the other side of the cordon fence that is so rated. So I believe that the government need to intervene, but it's a not a today and tomorrow thing. You know, the research, more research need to be done. Look at the economic impact. Look at all these things, and when they are about to remove the fence or not to remove the fence, and then they have concrete evidence on how will it affect the economy, especially the beef industry. And as you know that as this side, one of the main income is from beef. We are farmers. We sell cattle, we sell goats, we sell sheep. So the main source of income, southern cordon fence, especially in the Juba region, is burtering, which is farming. So I think the government need to be very, very careful when it comes to dealing with cordon fence.
Thank you very much for making the time to join us on the Evening Review.
Thank you so much, sir.
That wraps up Evening Review for this week. Have yourself a good weekend.